We've been waiting a long time, and it comes as no surprise, but Rockstar finally announced the Grand Theft Auto Trilogy remastered. That's Grand Theft Auto 3, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and Grand Theft Auto San Andreas updated with enhancements including high-res textures, better draw distances, extremely enhanced lighting, as well as much-needed modernization of controls and targeting. There's a lot more. There's a lot to talk about. Hi folks, I'm Falcon, and today on Game Ranks, the GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition's 5 biggest changes. Now before we get going, this is all official info. If I speculate on anything, I'll say something. Starting off at number 5, there are numerous enhancements being made to the game. Probably the most important to me is that we're getting a Grand Theft Auto 5 controller layout. That's fantastic because the old controls are a little bit outdated. It's not as though I don't like going back to the old games, but every time I do, I think, man, I wish the controls were like Grand Theft Auto 5. They have really perfected this formula over the years, and the Grand Theft Auto 5 controls just work out incredibly well, so it's fantastic to see that's coming. Now, it's interesting that they don't completely modify what's possible in a game. The gunplay and targeting controls are upgraded across the board, but they don't do anything about drive-bys until they were actually added into the game in San Andreas. There's other quality of lifestyle updates as well, though. For instance, the weapons and radio station selection wheels are updated, the mini-maps are updated, we have the ability to set waypoints, which is not something you could do in these older games. Another really big one that I really like to see is that we're going to be seeing the ability to restart a failed mission immediately. If you recall, there was a whole lot of jostling around sometime to get back into a mission, and it was painful. Now you die or fail for whatever reason, you're going to be able to just restart right at the start of the mission. I really do like that. These all seem like pretty significant improvements to me, and will make jumping into these old worlds not feel like such a downgrade. And personally, I think Rockstar owed it to these games to really bring them to their absolute best in terms of all of these categorical improvements. So up next, we see the graphics. Now, keeping in mind that for the time, these were pretty graphically good games. They did a lot with what they had. And if I'm completely honest, I can still go back to them and not really feel like, oh my God, this looks terrible. I never really think that. In fact, I kind of consider them to have a stylistic aspect to them. So honestly, the remastering of this game could have gone a couple of different ways. I personally really didn't want to see the style and vibe of these games disappear. Unfortunately, they haven't. Like, they very clearly fixed some character models to look more smooth, nice, etc., but they've retained the style of these games, so when I look at it, I still feel like I'm looking at these old games, and that's a good thing. This was an era where Grand Theft Auto wasn't really looking for hyper-realism. It was just a little surreal and cartoonish, and they've allowed that to translate into all the new art assets and reuse the old assets to good effect, at least where we've noticed it. Now, what really helps with both the remastered and the old assets is that they have completely changed the lighting system. Now we're getting enhanced shadows, we're getting reflections, we're getting improved water and weather effects. Trees and foliage look way better. Like, it's not even a competition. The first shot of the trailer just show us a massive change in this respect. And one thing I'm really particularly happy about that they're touting pretty hard is increased draw distances. Now, the remastered trilogy is going to be running on the Unreal Engine, so I think it's probably a given, but at the same time, it's one of those things that when you go back to the older games and you understand what increased draw distances is actually going to mean, it's something that's very easy to have appreciation for. Overall, these games look a lot, and I mean a lot better, but they don't look like different games, and that is really key here. It's really exactly what I would hope for. If you're eagle-eyed like us, you'll notice right away that characters, specifically in Vice City and 3, have like a lot more life to them in cutscenes. The game trailer right at the jump shows familiar characters, but like their mouths are moving a lot more realistically, they're blinking. It's pretty impressive. Also worth noting, longtime fans will appreciate that the characters have fingers now. Like, fingers confirmed, finally. At number 3, there's also going to be a lot of next-gen specific features, like platform specific. Like with PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, we're going to be seeing 4K resolution support with up to 60 frames per second performance. Now, here's where a little speculation comes in. Up to 60 frames per second performance doesn't sound as good for me as locked at 60 frames per second performance. So my assumption is that it's maybe not perfect in 4K. However, if we're staying above 30, it's kind of, I don't want to say negligible, because it's not negligible, but it's much less of a problem. However, if we see dips below 30 on games that, while they are very nice looking and graphically upgraded, are not massively complex, I certainly hope that that's not the case. We'll see though. We're going to be seeing NVIDIA DLSS support on PC, which fantastic. I mean, that's a great way of upping the resolution while retaining great performance. Apparently, we're also going to see something really interesting. On Nintendo Switch, we're going to have touchscreen camera zooming, as well as pans and menu selections, and also gyro aiming. Now, I don't know exactly how useful these features are going to be, but I can say that touchscreen camera zooming at least interests me, and I would definitely, if I am playing Grand Theft Auto on Switch in handheld mode, like to be able to move through menus via the touchscreen. That sounds pretty good to me. At number 2, now we're not going to get too far in to this one on account there are definitely spoilers, but the Grand Theft Auto trilogy is going to feature new achievements, but we're going to see a lot of interesting stuff in terms of like references to memes like San Andreas, Bigfoot, which is no doubt going to ignite that whole urban legend / mad hunt once again. And then there's also like speedrun stuff and more standard sounding achievement. Again, I'm kind of dancing around some of it to avoid spoilers because I know a lot of people actually haven't played all these games, and being able to go back through with all these enhancements and modern controls, it's gonna be a hell of an experience, and I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who hasn't. And also, honestly, a lot of it is gonna feel fresh and new for me as well, so yeah, it's kind of spoiled for me, and it's out there if you want to spoil it for yourself. But needless to say, achievement hunting is going to be great in the remastered trilogy. And finally, at number 1, some housekeeping. In terms of where you'll be able to buy it digitally, the game is coming out on November 11th on the PlayStation Store, the Microsoft Store, Nintendo eShop, and the Rockstar Games launcher, with a physical release for Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PlayStation 4 on December 7th. Now, if you have Xbox Game Pass, you'll be able to play Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, the Definitive Edition, starting November 11th. Further, PlayStation Now members will be able to play Grand Theft Auto 3, the Definitive Edition, on PlayStation Now starting December 7th. There's also apparently going to be, quote-unquote, some special surprises celebrating the 20th anniversary of GTA 3 in GTA Online. For instance, this week there was a baseball bat tee to commemorate, well, the baseball bat, Grand Theft Auto 3's probably most memorable melee weapon. That was on there this week. We'll be seeing more stuff like that over the next stretch of time. I'm personally extremely excited to play this. These were like big memories for me in terms of gaming. These are fantastic, enjoyable stories in worlds that did more than basically any other worlds at the time, and I just can't wait to play them again. How about yourself? Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable all notifications, and as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter @FalconTheHero. We'll see you next time right here on Game Right.